Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Sober Life Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Jones. We have a little bit of a different time today. Usually we're at 11:30. Today we're at 12:30 because of some scheduling things. But normally we're here every Friday afternoon at 11:30, and we bring in some great guests. We talk about recovery. We talk about addiction, mental health disorders, and all of that. And we invite your participation. We invite you to join us and give us your comments. And more importantly, if you would like to be a part of the show, if you've got some experience in recovery or you work in the field and you want to get your message out there or talk to the people, this is a great place to do it. So just reach out to me. You can contact me at SoberLife or Scott at SoberLifeArt.com is a good way to reach me. Or you could certainly reach me through One Brother, One Sister, which is our nonprofit organization that supports this show as well. So that being said, we got a great guest. This gentleman and I go back quite a few years now. He's been a huge supporter of our nonprofit. He does charity walks to help benefit and bring services and education to first responders through One Brother, One Sister, our nonprofit. He's been working in the industry, and I know everybody says, oh, what a great guy he is, or what a nice guy he is. If you look up nice guy in the dictionary, this is whose picture's next to it. This is a guy who's just an absolute jewel. He's a wonder to work with. He's one of those people that you just trust implicitly. He's got the most integrity of almost anybody I've ever met. And his name is Tim Roberto, so we're bringing him in. And Tim, I'm here with you. I know my camera went out for a second, but I'm still here with you. How are you, brother?
I'm blessed, Scott. I'm blessed. How are you?
You know what? I'm doing really good. Really good. Just getting my camera back in order. There we go.
There you go.
It's good to see you, my friend. And
it's good to be seen. It's good to be seen. I could have pulled it off if I had to, even though if you didn't get your camera back, I could have pulled it off still.
Oh, you would have been fine. You still have my voice to guide you through, so we're all good. But that's what we do here at Sober Life Podcast. We make it work. We make it work.
Amen.
And again, it's great to have you with us. First of all, let's let everybody know a little bit about who Tim Roberto is. You come from a background of addiction and you found your way through and you're doing great things. So tell us a little bit about your story, a quick synopsis.
Wow, a quick synopsis. I didn't like how I felt for as long as I can remember. I always struggled with wanting to change the way I felt. And I just wish I didn't have to, but I did. Speed that up for 33 years. At 44, I was homeless in Deerfield Beach. I was born in Brooklyn, grew up in Jersey. My dad was a well-known doctor in Manhattan. I served my country in the Marine Corps. And here I was, homeless and totally broken.
And what age were you saying this was when you were at this homeless point?
I was 44.
44. Now, what was it that brought you to your knees? Was it alcohol? Was it drugs? Was it a combination of them?
Combination, but every time I drank, I wanted to smoke crack, and
okay.
And vice versa. I could always put the drug down, but I could never put the booze down. But once I drank, I always wanted to get high with the cocaine.
We got Sarah Lynn's joining us. She's listening in. We're getting a
hello. Hey, Sarah.
Hello from Addiction Training Center. I bet you that's Karen tuning in there. That's saying hi. So 44 years old, and you are now
61.
61. But at 44, that's a long time of doing things your way and being ill and falling victim. Was there kind of that sense at that age that, it's way too late to get better?
Well, when you start at 11 years old and you're 44, you're set in many ways and you have very distinct belief systems, whether they're healthy or distorted. So, from a distorted standpoint, yes, I was like, I'll never amount to anything, but there was also that human intuition, that human instinct to seek and to be free and to be happy. And so, it was that conflict. I was always in conflict.
Yeah. So I guess I'm thinking you're on the street, 40.
Yep.
Is it going through your mind that you need to change? Was it something that you found inside yourself, or how did it come about that at 44 years old you finally started doing the right thing? What happened there?
Well, um,
All those years of choosing the wrong path, there had to be something that suddenly happened that sent you in the right direction.
yeah, I mean, to keep it really simple, it's that power greater than yourself, and so, my mom and dad, when they went down to Florida, they left Jersey. And so I was on my own for quite some time. And then I finally lost everything in New Jersey and I went over to them in Clearwater. And then I shredded their lives like I did pretty much most of my life. And my mother, she was in her mid 80s. And it was the first time I heard her say to me in my entire life, Timothy, we can't go on with this anymore. You have to leave.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was, oh my God, like I don't even know how to explain it. It was just scared the heck out of me, I guess. Like just wow, it really came to this. It's a very difficult thing to explain, but I knew this fella that I was in the Marine Corps with, and I met him at Camp Lejeune, and he was in Jersey, and I'm a Jersey guy. And when we got out, he became a police officer in Newark, and he just loved what he did. He just loved the excitement, loved the action, just loved being of service. But it broke him down after Marine Corps. Then 6 years in Newark, New Jersey. That's like Afghanistan, if not worse. And so I think he went out on medical leave, and then he did a Klonopin or something like that, and it was like instant. And that took him to the needle in about 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and he lost his job, and I didn't know that yet though, because all I ever knew was Charlie the Marine. He never smoked, he never drank. He was just always that kind of guy, very rigid. And one day he called me. I'm still in Jersey, and he called me from Florida. I'm like, Florida, what are you doing there, man? He said, I don't know, whatever he told me. It's so long ago now. I'm like, all right, okay. But then I called him when that day came and my mother delivered the final blow, so to say. I called him because he was in Boca Raton and I'm in Clearwater. And he said, Timmy, I was waiting for this day. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I could tell you were, spiraling. But he said, do you remember that day I called you, told you I was in Florida out of the blue? Yeah, I remember that. He goes, well, it started when I was a police officer. And I looked, I got hooked on that. And then I lost my job and it destroyed me. I love being a police officer. And so he went to this place in Florida, in Deerfield Beach. And I said, well, so I was really scared, but he got me in there. And I ended up staying there 9 years. So to boil all that down, there's, like you asked me to boil 33 years down in a couple of minutes, I guess, Scott, it was like my pain outgrew my fear. I don't know any other way to put it that, I guess most people can understand to a certain extent, like my pain outgrew my fear, because prior to that, I lived a very fear-based life. And that's part of addiction. That's part of the process. That's how part of what comes with it. And, I learned over the years that, gosh darn, man, if I lived a fear-based life, I kept making fear-based decisions, and then fear-based decisions only created more fear. So it was like,
endless circle. Yeah.
Endless circle. So I had great coping skills, especially when I started doing cocaine in my mid-20s. You could put me in the Sahara Desert and I could still cop. Might take me a little longer, but I get it. But I had no coping skills. I just had no coping skills, man. I couldn't do it. So, the pain outgrew my fear, and it was men like you and a lot of other men. My first sponsor, I couldn't stand him because, even though what they're saying is right, it just pisses you off. And, of course, my marvelous thinking back then, oh, this ego, the guy thinks he's hot, blah, blah, blah. He was just telling me what I didn't want to hear. But because of that guy, I haven't used since. And that's the miracle of what we do, So that place I showed up to, Sky, ended up staying there almost 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Started out cleaning toilet bowls, earning my keep. Worked my way up. I was in admissions and I came back out and worked as a tech, and pounded the ground, sort of say, the property, the facility for a couple of years. And we were doing a lot of good work there. And then, I went back into admissions and I became an alumni coordinator. They had no alumni there. And that was, very successful. And then, you've been at this a long time. There's nothing like somebody's testimony. So my testimony and my conversion, just in my, thank you for your kind words in the introduction. I don't know. I just really lived what I preached, and I also know addicts, especially addicts or alkies, game recognizes game and real recognizes real. And I'm
Yeah.
like, if I want to reach more people, I have to set the precedent and I have to set the example to be truthful and honest, because people like you taught me in the beginning that, we next sort of say we went on a course of rigorous honesty. And that's really difficult from people like me because my life was a lie. The whole thing was a lie. And that's all I really knew how to do. I never knew how to be honest. Like somebody say, "Hey, how you doing, Tim?" "Good." "Fine." And meanwhile, I'd be crumbling inside, today as a counselor, a drug and alcohol counselor, I don't accept that. I might take a couple of sessions or group sessions to gain your trust, but eventually I'm going to say, "Hey, Scott, not that you're lame, but when I keep asking you why you treat yourself so poorly, you keep telling me I don't know, I'm just not going to accept that anymore because I know what can happen to your life if you begin to know."
You made an interesting point about building trust, and that's a big part of when you come into recovery, being honest, being rigorously honest, or even honest even to any degree.
Yeah.
It requires you to be able to trust, maybe you don't completely trust the people, but trust that by you being honest, you're going to be okay. Because one of the things that we had learned, most of us out there in the street, I'm sure you would agree, is that you don't tell anybody anything. You're not honest about anything. You'll keep everything close to the chest. You don't let
Yeah.
people know what's going on with you. So
Yeah.
coming out and having to do that, was it hard for you to build trust with others when you first got, you coming back? I mean, again, 44 years of your life, most of it spent pulling away from people. How
Yeah.
was that to rebuild trust with other human beings?
That's a deep question. It's I think, like I said, I think for me, God's timing is everything and it's impeccable. He's always on time. And it was just that time. Like I started learning how to, you know, like reframe a lot of things. I went back to school too, for counseling but I guess for layman's term, like reframe, So I started teaching myself like what Scott thinks of me is none of my business.
Okay.
Because if I'm putting my nose where it doesn't belong, then that's going to create the illusion, just like the illusion I lived in my whole life. And then if I'm putting my nose where it doesn't belong, that means I'm getting attachments. If I'm not creating attachments, my mind's creating assumptions. If it's not doing assumptions, conclusions, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I wonder why I burned the bridge down again. So I just started doing, Scott, everything I didn't want to do. And that really produced immediate results. It just did. Like, okay, that wasn't too bad.
There's so many opposites that we learn. It's like, if you want to keep it, you got to give it away, things like that.
Yeah.
And to get close to people, you got to stop worrying about what they think about you. It's almost like opposites. It's like whatever you think is on you,
Yeah.
but I'm going to get close to you anyway. So, I mean, these are all very strange concepts when people are getting sober. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody assumes the biggest struggle is with the addiction, the physical addiction, or the cravings to drink or use. And although we're not going to take away from that, I think the bigger issues are learning how to live, and being able to function and feel good about yourself and stuff. Would you agree with that?
100%, man. I didn't know how to live life on life's terms. I knew how to live them on Tim's terms, and it was completely unmanageable. But that's all I knew. That's all I knew. And today, gosh, 16 and a half years removed. My sobriety date's April 15, 2007. Oh, by the way, I'm also known as Tax Day Tim in the recovery community. April 15th.
Yes, I know. That
So,
does not
okay.
make you that does not make you popular, buddy.
So, hey, everybody, Scott definitely pays taxes because I say that a lot. And the people who don't pay taxes, they look at me like this.
Yeah.
What did you say? Oh, I get it.
April 15th.
Yeah, so that's
nightmare for everyone out there who works hard. So,
but it's it's honesty, authenticity, and I think it's kind of like a light switch. It's always there. I don't know how to explain that. For me, it's like beyond knowledge. I just try to teach people how to experience it, and because there's a lot of things gained in experience.
What about the misconceptions that we have? Because you kind of mentioned one already, where you said, "I used to like to be in control and live life on my terms."
Yeah.
And I think we all felt that, or we all think that when we come in. It's like, hey, I've always done things my way, and I've always been in control, and I've always taken. And the funny thing is that while we were doing that, there's never been more chaos. We
100%.
weren't really, the illusion that you were in control is what we were living with, not any real essence of. We couldn't even control ourselves, let alone anything else.
Yeah.
But then when we come out and we say, listen, gonna let it all go, life on life's terms, or turn it over, or whatever statements it is. But in doing that, we actually become more in control. It's kind of a strange thing. It's like by letting go of control, basically all I'm saying is the only thing I got to worry about is how I react, how I act, and how I do things. Correct. And I'm not out there changing situations, but I'm changing how I react in those situations.
And that's
which is actually complete control, because it's control over the only thing we can control, which is us. So It's kind of backwards, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing about recovery, right? Like, you can blow it off and say, those people, they all say the same stuff. Or you can start looking at it for what it is. And recovery, addiction's like a fatal progressive illness. It starts out as a great lubricant, but it becomes the ultimate separator. But in that transition, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Recovery's, it's like you said, it's crazy. It makes no sense because it's not an intellectual process. That's why it will never make sense to an intellectual mind, never. But recovery's the complete opposite. It doesn't start out as a great lubricant. It starts out hard, really uncomfortable, and I got to talk about that. But it gets better and better and better. And from my experience, it creates a life to where I don't want to use.
Absolutely. And that's really the key to the success of being in recovery, whether it's addictions, alcoholism, gambling, whatever addiction that you have to be coming over and you're moving into recovery. If you don't build something more attractive than what you were living, you're always going to return to the old ways. But you have complete carte blanche to build anything you want to build or be anything you want to be. It's this incredible. In golf, we call it a mulligan. You could hit the worst shot in the world. It goes in the woods. And for somebody to walk up to you and say, you know what? You didn't put a very good effort into that swing. You really screwed it up. This is going to kill your game, but I'm going to give you another ball and say, why don't you try it again? We've been given that. And if you're not going to adjust your swing and take advantage of that, you're still going to end up in the woods, right?
100%. Yeah, it's kind of like you made me think with that analogy, the definition of insanity. I know it's a cliche, everybody uses it, but gosh darn it, some of the basic principles will never go out of style, and I don't think you can say them enough. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. But you burn your hand on the stove once, and then you listen to that little orange light on the stove for the rest of your life.
Right.
Oh, the orange light's on. Hey, Scott, stove's hot. Be careful. Oh, gee, thanks, Tim. I didn't see the light. But for some reason, with the addiction and alcoholism, we go on and on and on and on. It's incredible, man. Like, just incredible.
And the key to all of that is, again, I can't say it enough. Build a life that you do not want to sacrifice. build something, and start to enjoy your life, start to enjoy yourself. And I don't want anybody. Some people get this idea, and I think it's because some of the sayings that we have
Yeah.
in some of the programs and things that are out there, whether it's a rehab or a 12-step program or other places,
Yeah.
all of them are, there's a lot of similarities in them.
Yeah.
And some people think it's like every day's a struggle for the rest of my life and everything else. And I'm like, listen, if you're 20, 30 years down the road and you're still having a struggle, I'll talk about me. If I'm 30 years sober and I'm saying, I might drink tomorrow, you know what? Buy me the drink today. That's not how I want to live. Because what I know for a fact, and I know some people cringe at this, but what I know for a fact is if I live tomorrow the way I live today, putting my recovery first, I will never have a problem again.
Amen.
And I can live with the confidence of that. However, it is contingent upon me taking care of myself and doing the things that lead itself into a healthy, recovered lifestyle.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's when the spiritual malady is overcome, we straighten out mentally and physically.
Yes.
I tried everything. I tried everything. But all those things I tried were synthetic. But my loneliness, there was nothing synthetic about that. My feelings, my loneliness, my sadness, my awkwardness, my not being part of, my invisibility, my feeling invisible, all that stuff is hashtag real, hashtag SHIT.
Right.
Like there's nothing synthetic about that because human beings are, these very unique beings, and we're designed to feel. There's nothing like us that feels like us, that wants like us, that needs to be loved like us, that needs to be reinforced, nothing. And there's nothing fake about that. But I looked at all this synthetic, manly made, worldly made stuff to make me feel whole, and it never worked. But boy, I'll tell you what, Scott, it had me pimped out for 33 years, man. That was the ticket. And then, of course, with the bug I got, alcoholism and drug addiction, every time I burned another bridge or screwed up something, boy, it just reinforced that defective narrative that I always had in my mind. That you are just a loser, that you will never be nothing. You are a horrible son. You're a horrible husband, a terrible father. The list that goes on and on and
Yeah.
on. And I hope somebody's listening to this right now that feels like that, because that's a lie. It's not a moral issue. It's a very serious health condition, very serious.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, your actions, certainly my actions during that time did not make me a good father. I think the difference is what I had to understand is while I drink and use drugs, while I drink alcohol and use drugs, and I go untreated, I become a very bad role model as a parent. I become an unreliable. I am not a good father. What I thought that meant was I didn't love my kids, and that's not the truth. I loved my kids, but I could not live in that love. Within me was a good father that existed, but it's not what I gave my children.
Yeah.
So what I had to do was unlock all of those things, allow that love to come out.
Yeah.
And now I don't know if I'm the best father in the world, but I care about my kids with all my heart. They all know that I love them with that very deeply. Let me acknowledge a few people real quick because I've been flying by. Sandy's with us. She's saying hello to us. Sarah says, you all sound and look great. Now, Justin Gio, our buddy there, he says, two great guys that do a lot of amazing things for the recovery community. Happy Recovery Month. That's a good thought. Happy Recovery Month, everybody out there. This is the first day. And Justin said he could relate. And Sarah says, Scott Jones and Tim Roberto are the GOATs.
Hey, Sarah.
The GOATs. Is it? Well, I've been called a horse's ass, but I haven't been called a goat. So I appreciate that. This is Hillary, which is amazing. It's my daughter. This is my daughter, Hillary.
Oh, wow. Oh, hey, Hillary. Cool.
When you were sober, you were the best father.
Aw.
Awesome. And we know you love us. And,
gosh.
thank you.
Hillary, you're making me choke
I
up over
know,
here.
I know. I can't focus. I love you, Hillary. I love you.
Yeah, yeah.
Michael's saying awesome. Let's see. And horse's ass, sister's ass. LOL. Uh,
All right,
uh,
here we go.
I know a lot of people out there. I hope you're enjoying this and happy. Thank you for reminding us, Gio, because we talked
Yeah,
about this earlier when we were going to before we went on the air. Hey, it's Recovery Month, and then we forgot.
yeah,
So happy
yeah,
Recovery Month. I'm going to ask you this: for you as an adult, and we're seeing more and more adults coming into recovery. There's always going to be that strew of 18 and 19-year-olds coming in, and sometimes they get it, and sometimes they don't. And sometimes they
yeah,
got to go back and forth and stuff.
yeah,
But we're also seeing a great many people in their 40s and 50s coming in now.
yeah.
What was the hardest thing for you in adopting a recovery lifestyle? Was there something that was particularly hard for you?
Um, it's that's a great question. I think the consistency.
There you go. I think that's a great answer because I think that's what we all, we're the people who say, "Listen, I bought a gym membership.
Yeah.
And I went once, and then I went twice, and then the third time I thought I should take a day off because you don't want to
Yeah.
overwork your muscles. And
Yeah.
next thing you know, now the only thing you're losing is $30 a month. You're not losing weight. You're not.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
just
Kind of
you don't?
like those New Year's resolutions,
Yes, and staying
just
consistent.
like that. Yeah.
Building.
Because, when I'm drinking and drugging, I'm the most inconsistent guy I know.
But again, we are consistent in how we put it in our bodies.
That's true too.
I mean, we were dedicated to without money in
Yeah.
our pockets. We don't even lint in our belly buttons to make a
Yeah.
sweater. We got nothing, but we still find a way to drink and use all day.
Yeah.
We found a way to be consistent in the one thing that was killing us, but nothing else. Now, letting go of that, we can learn to be consistent in all the other areas, but that is a very hard thing to learn. And I think that's a tripping point for many, many people out there is to
Yeah.
get up when you don't want to get up and go do the healthy thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm still grabbing guys. Actually, I got a guy now that we're just moving into the fourth step. And it's been a joy, because I always find there's that period of adjusting, what's working for this guy, what's not working for him. And I'm not referring to the literature because obviously you don't waver from the literature. The book is written for that specific reason. I'm talking about the other stuff that you're adjusting to environments. Where am I going to meet them today? I got this schedule. I got that schedule. So in these, it takes me about 12, 13 weeks to run a guy through. So I don't know. I think we were like 4 or 5 weeks in. We ended up 2 weeks ago, and we're still chuckling about it now because it's all boiled down to consistency. But
Right.
It started getting into the meat and potatoes. Not that the prefects and Bill's story, doctors, not that that's not the the meat and potatoes too. It's all in sequence, but we're really starting to get. And we're just right around the corner from his fourth step. So I wanted to each time get it quieter and quieter and quieter. So I live in a condo community that has a clubhouse. Every time I go by it, there's nobody there. So the first time I said, you know what, let's get out of Starbucks. Let's get out of here. I'll meet you at the clubhouse. Well, they're having a bridge game. All the women were playing bridge in there. So we went out to the pool, and it's South Florida. And by the time I was done with him, I was about 15 pounds lighter,
Yeah.
So we did it again. Let's try it again. Let's be consistent. We went back, and true story. And this is what I love about this journey. This is crazy. So they were there again playing. It was really hot because remember a couple of weeks ago we were going through some really hot, like 90, 95. They had heat advisories.
Oh yeah. We've actually got one today down here in Broward because it's 110.
Oof.
Yeah.
So lo and behold, we went into the little gym that's there, and we folded metal chairs, and we started reading more about alcoholism. And then this older fella came into the gym because I live in a retirement community. And by the time it was all said and done, this guy's doing cable pulls about 10 inches from this guy's head, the sponsee that I'm bringing through the work. So I didn't want to break it because it's the magic of the consistency. It's the magic of the program. Scott, I kid you not, man. Him and I were there like nobody else was there. But when we left, I said to him, Jake, did you ever think in a million years, and you're half my age, that you would be sitting in a gym in a clubhouse reading at the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous with a guy who found a way out, and he's repaying you back so he can stay sober, with a guy doing cable pulls and his hand is 10 inches from your head? And he just busted out loud. He said, not in a million years. Dude,
Wow.
it was the craziest thing. And then finally, after that, though, I said, all right, this is getting too extreme. So now I finally invited him to my house. So he comes to my house now.
That's one of the wonders of recovery, is the unpredictability of life.
Yep.
How, I knew what to look forward to every day when I was back out there. I
Yep.
knew to look forward to being upset, being angry, being sad, being lonely, all those things.
Yep.
Terrified is a big one. Now I don't know what every day is going to bring me, and it is the most glorious thing. Also, us sharing these stories and being happy, people in recovery have a profound ability to find gratitude in the smallest things and to love more deeply and more openly, and to share their lives more deeply and more openly than normal people would even consider doing, because they don't understand. To truly appreciate one little tiny ray of light, you've got to understand what complete darkness is.
Whew.
And we've lived in that.
Oh, yeah.
So now we are actually, it's like we are walking, with taking the spiritual aspect out of it. We're like the walking blessed. We
Yep.
have been given the opportunity to see heaven, so we can actually make this a living,
Yep.
or to see hell, so we can actually make this a living heaven. I mean, it's one of those deals, right?
Yeah, it's amazing, man. That's the human intuition, like the human spirit, the creative intelligence about us. Like, I've never ever seen a broken heart that's healed love stronger. Never.
Right.
I've never seen a broken heart that's healed love harder, because true love doesn't have attachments. It's human beings that have attachments to love. I'll love you if, they want unconditional love, but they have a whole bag of conditions. This thing lays quiet, doesn't say nothing, and I believe it loves us so much because of one basic principle. That's all. Because all that other stuff, it's way beyond knowledge, and I'll never be able to understand all that. But this I can understand, that it loves me so much, it gives me the gift of choice. And with the gift of choice, I can be the best version of myself. And Scott, I just, every time I bring this up and teach people that, I don't know any other example really of unconditional love that's better than that. Because like I said, human beings have all kinds of conditions to love. You used to be a size 6 when you're a size 2 when you're a cheerleader. Now you're size 9. And like your butt used to be this, or now you got a man bod. Look at you. All this shallow. This thing just lays quiet, and it allows us, because it's unconditional, right? So it allows us to destroy ourselves if we want, but it also allows us to be the best version of, because it's for me, a true example of unconditional love.
Absolutely.
I just love that, man. That's a lot of my strategy when I'm working with people. It's a lot of my strategy to bring out that humanity, to bring that we're all born with this love, with this inheritance to seek, to explore, to be needed, to be wanted, to give, and to be of service. And human beings that are just incredible people. But, like you were talking about a few minutes back, so many of us just beat the heck out of ourselves. We're a piece of what, and that's another goal of mine. Hopefully maybe somebody's listening to this right now, because everything we learn is now. I teach people, you're not a bad person, and I always give them an opportunity, Scott. I'll give you 5 minutes to show me how bad. Nobody's ever been able to prove that to me. But what I can help them with is that alcohol makes alcoholics make that bad decisions. Yes. drugs make drug addicts make bad decisions. Yes, but we are not bad people. This is not a moral issue.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I will add to that the alcohol lends itself to the bad decisions, and then drugs lend themselves to the bad decisions. Um, and I would say stagnancy
Yep.
also, because you
Yep.
could come out, and we've seen it. We've seen it where people come out and they quit the drinking, they quit the drugging, but they don't make any other changes in their life, and the bad decisions keep coming. Well, why?
100%.
Because those decisions are generated somewhere in here, and
Yeah.
whatever this factory is that is making your decisions for you, there's
Yep.
something wrong on one of the lines. You better figure it out and fix
Yep.
it. Um,
Yeah, it's kind of like they just switch out, they're just not drinking.
yeah, it's not the alcohol did not cause this. If alcohol caused all these problems, we'll go back in time, kill Jack Daniels, and save everybody. But that's not how it works. Alcohol is not evil. Drugs are not evil.
Yeah.
But for some people, it unlocks parts of our brain and parts of our psyche and parts of our of our experiences and our spirituality and everything else, and it really twists it and ties it up in knots.
Yep.
But we got so much work to do. Once you put down the alcohol and drugs, then it's about, okay, now how do I rebuild this that has been working backwards for so long?
Yep.
And it takes time. But
Yep.
without that kind of change,
Yep.
I think in the big book it says, you need a complete psychic change.
100%.
A complete
Because
psychic change.
physically,
And you control that. It's like you've been given the keys to the kingdom saying, what role do you want to fulfill? What do you want to be? Now go be it. And all you've got to do is
you're
all you got to do is
unconditionally
accept that
loved.
responsibility. You have to accept the responsibility that my choices are going to make my life different.
Yep.
Now, all I got to do is find a way to make better choices. And we don't have it in here. We have to look outside ourselves, to our sponsors, to our to other recovering people,
Yep.
to our churches, and to our
Yep.
different, and that's
Yep.
what it
Find
is. You have to accept that responsibility, don't you?
100%. You have to learn how to adult parent yourself. I mean, you can blame others all you want, but the bottom line is everything that's going on in a person's life is a direct result of choices they made.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of with all due respect, a lot of anybody can have a baby. Anybody can make a baby unless there's a medical condition, and anybody. And it's a conversation. It's a hard conversation, and it's coming to me right now. So I'm going to go through with it because most people don't want to talk about it. Anybody can make a baby unless there's a medical condition. But what we need to start talking about and helping each other with, at a sign of just good intentions, respect. Not everybody can be a mom or a dad, but when I'm working with somebody, whether it's professionally or personally. Professionally, it's very inappropriate to blame parents. Personally, it's very inappropriate. It's just disrespectful because you can't blame people based on what they've been given. So, parents that struggle in that parenting department, you can't blame them. It can't, they're just operating on what was given them, just like I was operating on what was given me.
Right.
And until someone teaches me how to break the cycle, some people call it generational curse. It really doesn't matter to me as long as I can help somebody see what their role in it is. And it's really all boils down to agreements. What kind of agreements are you holding? I know a lot of alkies that aren't happy. I know a lot of alkies and addicts that are pissed.
Yeah.
And when I hear pissed, I hear this big sheet, Scott, of a whole list of resentments.
Yes.
And if they hired me to do a job for them, and every time they look out their window, there I am eating a sandwich, I'm BSing with Scott the neighbor, I'm on my phone. How long would it take those people to be like, look at this guy? And he's got the you-know-whats to do it in front of me. Oh, I've had enough of this. I'm pissed. They go marching out their door. Hey, this isn't working. I work hard for my money. You got to pack your stuff and go. Get out of here.
Hold on, Tim.
You don't work that hard.
I'm not going to have him on camera, though. because the camera's not right.
They would rip that agreement up real quick.
Pull it back. Hold on a second, Tim.
All right. Hey, handsome.
There we go.
Darling.
Just keep it
Holy cow. Look at that. Wow. Just come on in, man. We'll just do a three-way thing, you know.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
If you think about it,
With my
you
big
rip
head.
that agreement up real quick.
What, the
All right,
floor
get out of
agreement?
here. Back your stuff, you know. But the agreements that we hold on ourselves are just amazing. Like we can't
But
rip these
this
agreements
is-
up.
With everything we talked about, Tim, this is what it comes down to. Is this kind of Russell stops by and we get excited to see him, and you and I, when we see each other, it's excited to see him, and you know, and it's like we built friendships, we built bonds,
Yeah.
we built a life, we
Yeah.
built a life of being happy and not, you know, not dwelling in the past, not doing that stuff, but not forgetting it either, because that's the foundation on which our life is built. Without all that dirty crap and everything else I did, I couldn't have built my beautiful tower. I need a dirty foundation, and that's what I have. But I built a beautiful tower on top. And this is something, all we got to do is take responsibility, people. You made a good point. Anybody can be a mother or a father on a birth certificate. But to be a mom or a dad requires decision-making, choice, sometimes sacrifice, but definitely consistency. Definitely. And that's our responsibility to own that. And you know, we got guys like Russell here who are just like cream of the crop. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, 100%, hands down.
Say something brilliant,
But we
Russell.
keep that between us, though.
Yeah, let's not tell him his ego is going to swell.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to turn him sideways so he can get out the door when he leaves.
Yeah, there we go.
My spiritual guru.
Boy, I'll tell you. But you know, that's the other thing about us. You know, the intuition that so many of us have too. Now we're all three of us are going at it, and it's like we didn't even skip a beat.
Yeah. You know, to share the journey with somebody. And your journey is completely different than my journey. I mean,
Yeah.
how many years have you been the tax man now? Clean, sober tax man.
16 and a half.
16 and a half. Russell, how long for you?
18 and a half.
18 and a half. And me, 19. And but our journeys are all completely different.
100%.
But we're sharing like the same vehicles to get where we're going. It's an amazing thing. We have different directions, we have different lives, but we get to share and help each other no matter how different it is.
It's like that common denominator, you know?
Yes. Where else can you get that? And we've been gifted with this by the virtue of being some of the biggest pricks on the planet. You know, that's honestly,
No,
I didn't earn this. Did you earn it?
No, I did a lot of cocaine and I got sent to Boca Raton. People try to spend years of their retirement money trying to get here. All I had to do was get high. Smoke and spend millions of dollars on coke.
This is not a table you'll find at career day at the high school.
no. You wouldn't go to Barnes and Nobles and look at how to change it, you know, how to change your life. See my name in that book, you know, a few years back.
You
How to change your life.
You're going to find a lot of books on taking responsibility, about being kind, very little about how to drink your way into a good life.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. Before we wrap up, and this has been a great show. Sarah says 54 years in one room. You
Wow.
know, and for a moment, Karen was in this room who had 43 years.
Woo.
So we had over 97 years of combined experience in this room at one point.
Wow. Well, with a couple of people on this program chiming in, and we'd be well over 100.
Sarah's joined in and says, "Love me some Russell Levine." He walks in, takes over our show. Can you believe this shit?
Yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good.
As soon as I leave, Scott's going to go to Karen. Don't ever let him do that again. Ruin my entire show.
It's not your fault. It's not her fault. It's my fault for not locking the frickin' door. That's oh. And there we go. Love Karen Hurley beyond words. So everybody's getting kudos, but me and Tim, who started this damn show.
Yeah, thanks.
That's why people are here in the first place for you and Tim.
Oh, well, that's true. We brought them over.
We brought them all over.
They're here. But we are at the end of the show, Tim, and I want to take a moment to say that, you know, you've taken this life, and we appreciate you sharing so openly and honestly. And this is something we should revisit because there's still so many stories to tell, especially about the recovery end of things. But you've decided to dedicate your life to helping other people. You work for a great organization. Tell us what you do, brother.
I'm the community liaison and culture development. I'm a group facilitator. I do some individual counseling too at the Mandala Healing Center in West Palm Beach. We're a 144 bed detox residential facility. We've been doing amazing work. This September, I'll be going into my 5th year there. And we'll soon be about 180 bed. We're working on another building on our property right now, about to be renovated. And we do mental health and we do substance abuse. And I'm very, very, very proud to be, attached to the organization. I love what we do. I can't believe, I've been entrusted with such a wonderful resource. We get to help a lot of people. And we work also with a lot of indigent people too, where they can be a difficult, segment, sort of say, of the mental health and the addicted world. We have our own track for them because we're very fortunate. Like I said, we have multiple buildings on the property, so we can actually resource a whole building just for them, and they can get the care. I feel like most people can, because it's dedicated to them. And yeah, it's a wonderful thing. I remember when I first started there, I don't know, I would have 10 people in my group. Now I'm doing a lecture, but that's all from the leadership down. Our leaders are phenomenal people. Their heart is all in. They work tirelessly. Actually, one of our leaders, every time we grow, I know something's in the works because I see him spackling the walls. There he is, but that's what a great leader is. They do everything, like literally everything. So yeah,
I've experienced watching this firsthand about how everyone, picks up the paper on the ground. Everybody helps everybody there, which is a great atmosphere. And you're right. Your leaders and your executives, tireless. They are tireless in their job.
Tireless.
They jump in to help the community. You have that community room. You let other, groups and 501c in there. And also the property. Don't forget what a lovely property it is. That lake, it's so peaceful and calming out there. I sometimes will go there, sneak in and just go, they don't let me fish, but one day they will.
Yeah.
That pond is filled with big fish.
We talked about that before you came in. They said they'll allow the fishing, but the skinny dipping has got to stop.
Yeah, that's getting out of hand.
Listen, Tim, once again, it's been great.
One more thing, Scott.
Yeah,
I do have our administration building has a beautiful clothes donation set up. It's upstairs on the 2nd floor, so a lot of our clients, they get social workers, can bring them there and they get clothes. So if anybody in Palm Beach County has clothes, I'd be willing to pick them up. I'll go anywhere in Palm Beach County to get them.
Tim, I can tell you, I've got probably 6 lawn and leaf bags full of men's clothes for you.
Oh, wow.
Oh, men's clothes?
Men's clothes.
Oh, how about
well, with that being said, I would even go down to where you're at for that haul.
We'll work it out, brother.
All right.
We'll work it out. Whatever it is, we'll do lunch.
Okay.
Anyway. But listen, I want to go around the room once. And again, thanks, Russell, for the pop-in. That's awesome.
Yeah, good to see you, Russ.
This is Recovery Month. September 1st is the beginning of Recovery Month. So let's each put a message out there for people who need help, or maybe people who are already in recovery, and wish them a happy Recovery Month. Russell, we'll start with you. What message would you like to share for this month?
My message is pause. Stop. Think. If you can't think from yourself, ask for someone else. I know it's very hard for us to think for ourselves. Our decision-making isn't great at times. Even at 18 years sober, sometimes it's not great. So pause and make a conscious decision of doing the next right thing. And there's literally thousands and thousands of people that are around you in recovery. Seek them out. Ask for help. We are here to help you.
Love that. Thank you, brother. Tim, how about you? A Recovery Month message.
You're not a bad person. This is not a moral issue, and you deserve to be happy.
All right. Fantastic. And I'd like to wrap it up with Sober Life Podcast, saying Happy Recovery Month to everybody. Recovery is not a perfect process. It is not a one-way road. There's many different directions and many different ways that work for different people. The only thing I ask is that you take responsibility for your recovery. We can pawn off a whole lot on our addiction and talk about, that we couldn't help it and disease, and there's a lot of other things in there. But I'm going to tell you what, recovery is 100% your responsibility to get up each morning and make a decision. Am I going to do the right thing or the wrong thing today? Am I going to start my day with a prayer? Am I going to start my day by cursing the sun? How am I going to do things? Take responsibility, and you could have any life you want to have. It's all open to you. With that, God bless everybody. I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank my guest, our special guest, Russell Levine, and of course, Tim Roberto, the man with the plan up there. Make sure you visit him up at Mandela Healing Center. But for now, you've been watching Sober Life Podcast. We'll all catch you next time. Bye-bye now.
Peace and love.